Mary, coming from the leading recruiting firm in the country, and the world, I guess, in that matter, certainly you have more expertise than most on what it takes to find a great job and what it takes to find a great candidate. In this case, we're focusing on students, sales students particularly. What advice would you give them to help them launch on the right career for them?
I think first and foremost, Howard, salespeople, even if they are the top candidate, and they know that for a fact, in order to be a buyer, they should act like a seller. And what I mean by that is work to secure an offer from every company. Even if they don't know for sure that they want that opportunity, first and foremost, sell themselves so that they have the choice in the end to decide whether or not that company is the best fit.
Would that actually be like acting to seem like you're really interested in a job, or somehow do these students need to convince themselves to take this one seriously?
I don't think we know whether or not fit is a great opportunity until we have a complete source of information, and that might take 3 or 4 interviews. And it's really important in junior and senior year to get on every interview possible and to work extremely hard in that interview to secure a second or third or final interview. And at that time, you have all the information to know whether or not the company is the best alternative for you. Once a salesperson has multiple options to choose from, it's important to get on paper what their career criteria is. And I would recommend that there's 5 different areas they look at. And the first one is industry. It's critical in industry to be in a fast-growing industry because growth brings opportunities. Also, if the industry is in the earlier stages, sales plays a more important role. As it gets more towards commoditization, salespeople don't play the same role they do when they have to create the need and sell their company's solution on the complete solution versus price. So industry growth is key. A second area is company, and there's a couple key criteria to look at. First of all is growth. Is the company outgrowing the industry? That would be key because it shows that they have strong products and or a strong sales organization, but they're doing things better than most people in the industry. Salespeople need to align themselves with winning companies. Another is, what is the driver of that company? There's 3 different types of companies. There are value companies, price-driven companies, and the marketing leader. And for someone to choose a sales career, the best place for you to be is in a value-driven company. And why that is, in marketing companies, most of the money and energy goes to the marketing group to create the leading brand. In price companies, most of the money and research goes to how do we cut out costs so we can compete on price. But in value-driven companies, all of the emphasis is on having the best sales organization and the best solution because you can't be the cheapest and you aren't known for the best. So you have to bring that additional value. And there's more investment made in training and incentivizing the sales organization in those companies. The other ones are in the area of the company as well, and I'd encourage people to look at a couple key areas. One is, what type of culture do you need to be successful? And does that company have a culture that promises to fulfill those areas? For example, are you someone that needs to be in a place that focuses on recognition and training? And I would encourage you as a new salesperson in the marketplace to find someone that places a heavy emphasis on training and on recognition. Sales is tough. There's a lot of rejection, and 9 out of 10 times you'll be rejected. So to have recognition and training as a part of the company is really critical in your first sales role.
What would you consider, Mary, to be the 4th most important issue that students should look for in a company?
The fourth area is to understand the company's value system and make sure that what their vision is of a value system is actually lived through the organization and it aligns with yours. You can read what their value system is at their corporate site. What's more important is to understand through asking questions in all of your interviews exactly what value system is lived throughout the organization and does it fit in with yours.
Mary, those are really great points. I'm almost embarrassed to ask you for the fifth, but you did mention 5.
The fifth one is finding a leader that you can admire, respect, and have as a mentor for the next year to 2 years. And frankly, that person, if ideal, will be a mentor for the next few decades in your career.
How would a student tell whether a company is market-driven or value-driven or price-driven? What should they look for?
There are a couple tips in identifying whether or not a company is value-driven and or sales-driven. First is to look at the bio of the CEO. What was their background? Typically, companies have leaders that emulate whatever their driver is. Our company, our CEO came from our Vice President of Business Development. He's sales-driven. We have 1,500 out of 2,000 employees are in the sales area. That would be the second tip. Understand the makeup of their organization and see where their heavy emphasis of personnel is, what type of function. And if it's in sales, that's a good way to understand whether or not they're sales focused. A third area is go to their website. What's on their primary page above the fold? What are the key messages that the CEO speaks about in their letter annually to their shareholders? The key messages will indicate whether it's a sales-driven company. And for new people getting out of college and choosing a sales career, it's important to be at a company that places a heavy emphasis on sales.
Mary, we know from our personal experience in providing services for you that CareerBuilder and you particularly really put tremendous emphasis on the corporate culture and the corporate values. What are some examples of values that a student candidate should be looking for in a company they're pursuing?
Well, there's a couple that we have that I think you'll see in many organizations. The key is to see if they're lived throughout the organization. One is integrity, honesty, candor. Our core values, candor. And what I would encourage you to measure or understand in the company is, do they welcome insight and ideas and feedback to improve the organization? Is that embraced and asked for? Because it's important to feel like you have a voice and you can commit to making your company better. Another one is disciplined freedom. And that's said in many different ways. Those are the words we choose in our organization. But that goes around, once you've earned the right to do the job on your own, that you do have some freedom and flexibility in how you choose to get the results that are expected of you.
How might a student in an interview test, so to speak, or probe for candor and for disciplined freedom?
I would ask for time with people who are going to be in my position. I would ask to go on a field ride or sit chairside with one of their top performers. And I would ask that individual to share with you the culture of the company. What are the core values? And then I would ask for examples of how they've been able to utilize those core values in their career with the company and see what specifics they give you. You can read what their value system is at their corporate site. What's more important is to understand through asking questions in all of your interviews exactly what value system is lived throughout the organization and does it fit in with yours. Because there's an art and science to sales. Science should be described by the company, but if you want a long-term career in sales, then you need to find a company that's going to embrace your artistic abilities as a salesperson and allow you to incorporate those into their scientific process. because if a company's growing at the cost of making money, they won't have additional funds to fuel growth, future growth, and investment in their sales organization, products, and services. So it's important to also evaluate, do they have the profitability to sustain the growth that they're having to date?